The Slumber Party Massacre is a 1982 American slasher film directed by Amy Holden Jones. It stars Michelle Michaels, Robin Still, Michael Villella, and Deborah DeLisso. It managed to make $3.6 million on a budget of only $200,000. In the opening scene, we meet our protagonist Trish and learn that her parents will be away the weekend. She, like most teenagers, takes advantage of this fact and decides to throw a slumber party. We are also introduced to the antagonist very early on in the film and get an idea of how this film will go. Trish, after a game of basketball in gym class, informs her school friends of the slumber party where everyone agrees, except the new girl Valerie. Unbeknownst to them, Russ Thorne plans on joining them. We also see the first homicides committed by Russ, both of which are a bit comical yet fun. The Slumber Party Massacre is a parody film. This is something that flew over the heads of most people, including the producers. When Rita Mae Brown wrote the script, she intended for it to be a parody. The producers, unfortunately, treated it as if it wasn't. The film ends up being halfway towards a parody and halfway to a serious slasher film. Unfortunately, most people who watch it also don't come to this realization, but it did eventually become a bit of a cult classic. That night, Valerie watches on as the first guests arrive at Trish's house. Being Trish's neighbor, she can see their arrival. She decided to rather babysit her younger sister Courtney. The four start with the party, just as two boys from school arrive uninvited. Diane's boyfriend also arrives, and this is where everything goes wrong. Russ recently escaped captivity, and it's clear to see from his facial expressions that not all the lights upstairs are in working condition. Russ uses a very distinct weapon, a power drill. A weapon that surprisingly enough causes very little blood loss, at least depending on the scene. And yet people still do not understand that this is a parody of slasher films released during this period. To simply prove this point, at one stage, one of the ladies takes a pizza box, places it on a dead body, and takes a slice to eat. This film has some amazing lines. So many are quotable. That's one of the many reasons why this film has a cult following. Russ tries to kill everyone at the party, one at a time. The way each killing takes place is a funny story in itself. We will, of course, try not to spoil the film for anyone wanting to watch it, but we consider it a must-see. Just remember, it is a parody, and you will enjoy it. The music and sound effects are perfect for this genre during this period. The film had a small budget, but made full use of it and improvised wherever possible. I loved Russ. He isn't scary, but the expressions he pulls are priceless. He has very little dialogue. You only hear him speak near the end of the film, but he remains one of the best aspects of the film. Some things are never explained, like the person who grabs Trish's doll at the start of the film. It is unlikely to be Russ, as he wears a jacket throughout the film, and would likely have had it on at this stage. It might be Mr. Contant, but from a shot shortly prior, we see he has a watch on his right arm, and someone grabs the doll with their right hand with no watch on their arm. So, the question is, who is it? Another would be, why doesn't their teacher call the police instead of asking Valerie to have a look? After Valerie declines, she decides to go over there on her own. She tried to contact them again but didn't come through. There was some sort of emergency, so she would be justified in calling the cops. But this comes from the producers not fully making this a parody film, at least not according to them. Things escalate quickly once the slumber party starts. The overall runtime is roughly 76 minutes. This would normally be seen as short, but it feels perfectly timed. You get the cliches, of course, the funny lines and delivery. You have your antagonist in Russ and you end up with a fun film. I can see why this film is loved by a lot of people, but I also see why some might not call it their cup of tea. But I enjoyed the film and would certainly recommend it if you like cheesy horrors. That's all we have for you today. If you haven't already, think about liking and subscribing to our channel. Hit the bell to get notified when we upload in the future.